Want to know why? Ask how. Howard the Humongous. We're going to talk about one of the craziest things you can possibly experience in your life. It's called falling in love. We all do it. At least hopefully we do. And some of us get the opportunity to do it more than once. It is one of the most energy-intensive processes you will ever go through. It is one of the most exhilarating, exuberant processes you will ever go through. It is a warm and fuzzy process, and it is one of the most hell-creating experiences you can ever go through. It will take you through tortures. Why all this energy spent on falling in love? Mickey and Sylvia in 1956 had a song that said, "Love is strange." Sorry. Love is beyond strange. Love is surreal. Why do we go through it? There is a principle in evolutionary biology called the handicap principle. And the handicap principle says a peacock, a male peacock, will have an extravagant tail that takes him tons of energy to produce, tons of extra food to produce, that takes him through all kinds of dangers to sustain. After all, it's a giant billboard saying to any predator that manages to prowl the scene, "Eat me." Why does he go through that? A bowerbird, a male bowerbird, will build a bower 3 times his own height. It can take him weeks to produce the whole thing. It is this giant architectural masterpiece. Why? Because females will judge him by that masterpiece. And if he produces a masterpiece that outdoes the masterpieces of all the other males in the neighborhood, he gets the most desirable female. But what does he do with this masterpiece once he's achieved the female peacock, the woman of his dreams? The two of them walk away from it and leave it as garbage in the woods in which they've built it. It is of no earthly use whatsoever. Why all of this waste? Look, we are told that we live in a cosmos of the principle of least effort. It's a law that Pierre de Maupertuis in 1765 came up with that says that if a process is trying to work its way from here over to here, it finds the shortest path possible, the least energy-intensive process possible. Love is the most energy-intensive process possible. I mean, look at a couple of statistics. A male, if you are a male, will produce 18 trillion sperm in your lifetime. If you are lucky, 2 of them or 3 of them will find a home and build a new human being, your sons and your daughters. If you're unlucky, all 18 trillion of them will be thrown away. How big a figure is 18 trillion? It is far, far bigger than all the humans who have ever existed in the 2.5 million years of humanity on this planet. Women in our society buy 2 million tubes of toothpaste a day. Why? To look as beautiful as they can, to attract the mate who is the closest to the mate of their dreams. Why do we go through all of this? First of all, nature is running a rake through the cosmos. Nature does not tolerate chaos easily. As a consequence, nature is busy divvying us up, partitioning us off into little groups of like-minded people. In the 1950s, Harry Harlow lobotomized 2 monkeys, 2 macaques, in a group of approximately 100. And when he let the 2, one was a male, one was a female, they were approximately the same age. When he let the 2 of them loose on the monkey island in which he was observing all of these creatures, and his grad students were observing these creatures, the grad students could no longer keep track of these 2 lobotomized monkeys. To the grad students, these lobotomized monkeys looked like just every other monkey in the bunch. But when it came time to mate, the 2 lobotomized monkeys somehow felt out their common feature and found each other. And they became mates. That's what we're doing. We're looking for somebody who is sufficiently like us and sufficiently different. Sufficiently like us and sufficiently different? You mean like opposites joined at the hip? Yes, we have these things called major histocompatibility complexes. And we don't smell them consciously, but we smell them below the level of consciousness. They're pheromones. And our system looks for an MHC in a person of the opposite sex, or if your proclivity is a person of the same sex, whose MHC is wonderfully similar to yours, but not too similar to yours. If it's too similar, you are repelled. If it's too different, you are repelled. It has to be in the Goldilocks zone, where difference and similarity balance out. Why? Because nature is running a rake through chaos and is piling similar people together in groups and getting them to produce more people who are similar to themselves, even though they contain an element of difference. There's one other thing about falling in love that you should know. Love is a triumph over chaos and time. The minute you are born, there's only one thing certain about you. You will die. Every creature nature has ever produced in the 3.85 billion years in which she's been producing life, has died. How does sex get past that barrier of time, that barrier of death? How does it pole vault that wall? It does it by producing a new generation which will carry elements of you. So a sexual decision, a romantic decision, these are the most important decisions you can possibly make in your life because they involve commitments of 20, 40, 60 years of your life. If you have children together, that's 20 years of commitment. If you buy a house together, that's 40 years of commitment. If you establish an enduring family together, that can be 65 years of commitment. Your brain changes its sense of time and starts flashing through scenarios at what seem the rate of several scenarios per second about all the things when you fall in love, about all of the things that could possibly go right, all of the wonderful, magnificent things the two of you could have together. But then there are the scenarios from hell, all of the things that could go wrong, especially all of the ways that the person you're in love with could betray you. Why is it important to go through all of those tiny flashes of vision of what could possibly be? Because your commitment, if you make it, is going to be immense. Those are tiny bits of what love is all about, but there's another thing to watch out for in the beginning. It's intimacy panic. You work like hell to get the other person to pay attention to you. You work like hell to get her fascinated by you, interested in you. Then what happens? All of a sudden, you're seized by a panic. There's a well-known phenomenon in which a girl finds a guy at a bar, they go home for sex, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, he gets up and tiptoes out of the apartment to disappear before she ever wakes up. Why? Well, in part, it's because he's panicked. He's panicked as all hell. Our society tells us that sexuality is a casual thing, that you can just do it as an amusement. Well, in fact, very few people can really do it as an amusement. Sexuality is one of the most emotionally engaging things you could ever become involved in. And when you become emotionally engaged, all of a sudden, you become afraid of losing your individual identity, of infantilizing, of becoming a baby in the arms of this woman that you've become attracted to. And the idea of becoming a baby and having all of that capsule of identity, it's taken you 10 or 15 years to build, disappear in a second, that is scary as can be. And there's another reason to be scared. Probably 95% of the people on planet Earth feel that they are piles of shit, that they're really worthless at heart. And one of the great fears that brings intimacy panic is the fear that the other person in the relationship will discover who you really are and will reject you. And that is an unendurable proposition. So you have to get through two things if you fall in love. You have to get through the phase of mad, frantic projection where you can't wait even 10 minutes for the next text message, for the next email from the woman or man that you were involved with. The secret there, control yourself. Hold back. Only communicate every few hours, several times a day. It's difficult, but you have to do it or you will go crazy. You will be looking for text messages every 15 seconds, and you don't want to get into that frenzied state. And the other thing is, when the intimacy panic hits, know it's only a part of a relationship, and you have to get beyond it. Sex and love are our pole vaults over the walls of death and chaos. Take them seriously. Enjoy the hell out of them. May you make the right decisions. This is Howard the Humongous speaking to you from the future. It's your job and my job to make. And now for the off button on this new, terribly confusing camera. Let's see if we can find it. I think that's it.